Okay, if you still believe guys that wear their sunglasses indoors, then you're not in the top 1% of sports bettors. But if you want to be, listen up, because it's a lot easier than you think. It all comes down to a routine that's hard to beat, even for the books. So what does that routine look like? For a lot of you, you probably wake up, grab your phone, open your sports betting apps, and check the results. But actually, some of the most valuable information shows up before the sun rises, because overnight, that's when the market's moving. Lines open, sharps attack bad numbers, injuries get reported, lineups leak out, and international markets start shaping the odds. So, while most people are still asleep, the market's practically arguing with itself about what the price should be. And if you check the board early enough, you can actually see that conversation happening. You'll see where the line opened, where sharp money pushed it, and sometimes where sportsbooks disagree with each other. Already, that should tell you something important, because for a lot of you out there, you only see the end game, or the final number. But based on how the market operates, there are a lot of plot twists that happen from start to finish. Like, let's say a team opens at -3 overnight. That's not bad, right? But by lunchtime, that same line is sitting at -5. Now we're cooking, because, lines don't move 2 points for no reason. So ding, 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 you know that something happened in between. Maybe the weather forecast shifted. Maybe the sportsbook saw too much action on one side. Maybe a player prop market moved. Maybe an algorithm updated the price automatically. There are hundreds of reasons why lines change, and figuring that out is all part of the game. And we actually talk about it a lot in my private community, so if you want to join the convo, I'll drop the link below. Because let's be real, you're probably not going to know the reason at the get-go, but at least now you know where the pressure is. And that information matters the most, because by the time most bettors finally check the line, the smartest money in the market has already voted. Though if you ask me, I wouldn't click bet right away after seeing that, and I'll tell you why. See, when you're analyzing a slate, you'll constantly notice things that look interesting. Like maybe a spread looks a little off, maybe a total feels too high, maybe a player prop jumps out at you, or maybe one sportsbook is hanging a weird number compared to the others. Those are what I call maybe bets. But for a lot of casual bettors, those are green lights. They see something interesting, and 5 seconds later, they're dropping money on it. Yeah, sharps don't do that. Instead, they fill out their idea board, which is basically a short list of bets that might have value. So besides the ones I mentioned earlier, these could be pace or tempo mismatch, public perception biases, late scratches or lineup changes, rest days or travel schedules, or undervalued player performance trends. And then they do something that some of you with sticky fingers hate doing. They wait. Yeah, and here's the funny thing about sports betting. Good bets often get better if you're patient, but you won't actually realize it if you keep betting on every so-called good line you see. Because think of it like this. Normally, you see a line that has potential, you do some research on it, maybe check previous stats if they're available. Then, you head over to Discord to see everyone else's picks. You realize you're on the right track. So, in your head, your brain's telling you, that's why this bet will win. But humor me a second. What if you did the complete opposite and rewired your brain to think, how could this bet go wrong? Now you're looking at those lines differently, right? You're tearing down your own argument and you're analyzing the situation like you're Sherlock Holmes. So obviously there'll be questions running through your head like, did the market already price this in? Is there something the public sees that I don't? Or am I falling for a biased narrative? Yeah, you're probably already doubting every decision you've ever made at that point. But that's because you have to keep your eye on the goal, which is to protect your bankroll from your own ego. Trust me, the more you do this, the easier it'll get to spot garbage bets without even thinking twice. It's honestly worked like a charm for me, because this inversion thinking gave me a filter that instantly sifts out bad ideas, leaving only the ones worth betting on. So the next time you find yourself saying, this is a lock, just pause a minute. Grab a drink, take a walk, or chat with some of our members in the community, or follow me on X and read my bite-sized tips in between games. Both links are in the description below. But what if no amount of pep talk's gonna stop your finger from clicking bet? Well, I've got another filter for you, and this one's gonna be challenging for a lot of you, I already know. I call it the patience filter. Yeah, we can workshop the name some other time, but basically, this is what it means. If you're so convinced that a line is the one you should bet on, even after thinking about all the ways it could go wrong, just don't bet on it yet. That's what the top 1% do. They hit the pause button, sometimes it's 10 minutes, sometimes it's 30, other times it's hours, even until later in the day. During that waiting period, one of two things can happen. 1, the line moves in your favor and you get a better price. 2, the rush fades and the bet no longer looks as good as it did. And you won't believe how many bets don't survive that test, which is honestly a good thing. because avoiding a bad bet is just as profitable as hitting a great one. No, I'm being serious. Most losing bets look brilliant for about 30 seconds. But if you could only wait, resist a little bit more, if you could just let the market and your own brain settle a bit, you would start to separate the noise from the real opportunity. Just to be clear though, when I say real opportunity, I'm not talking about short-term results. Because honestly, that's just pure chaos. You can make a perfect bet and still lose. But you can also make a terrible bet and win. I know it doesn't make sense, which is why most casual bettors screw up. They look at the scoreboard, they see a loss, and immediately say, I suck. Or they hit a plus 900 parlay and think, I'm a genius. Sound familiar? Maybe, but sharps are way past that. They don't just look at their stats and think of themselves as either a winner or a loser. Instead, they judge themselves by the quality of their decision, not so much the outcome. So just look at this guy. He bet on a 6-leg parlay with a total wager of only $25. He ended up winning and taking home more than $700. That's like a 2,700% increase in his investment, which is totally wild. He was probably living his best life. And the thing is, anyone who saw it would think, hey, I could do that too. Yeah, that's what I call being cocky. Because any wrong move, maybe variance or some other force of nature happens and that parlay is gone. So as much as possible, sharps stay away from parlays. They bet on singles or, if it makes sense, up to 3 legs at most. Because think about it. If he looked at the same spread and instead of betting on everything, he only bet on the Baltimore Ravens 1 to 13 points winning margin at plus 135 for $600, he'd get a total payout of about $1,400, which is double what the parlay guy got. Of course, the winning amount would depend on how much you bet. But my point is, over hundreds of bets, the sharp is stacking value and compounding profit. Meanwhile, parlay guy just got lucky. So, long story short, wins and losses don't measure skill. Decision quality does. And so, if you want to see how good decisions can land you $10,000, I shared my exact framework right here. Just click the link to watch that next.